Hey y'all, you're listening to This with Krish show. I am your host, Krish Dokia, and this is the show where I like to dive deep into faith, family, culture, and all of the everyday chaos that somehow ends up teaching us parents the biggest lessons in life. And excuse my hat, it's not a ball cap today. I thought I'd be kind of hipsterish with my, I don't know if this is a Christmas sweater or Where's Waldo sweater, but here we are, glasses, because my contacts were dried up. The weather's changing here in Dallas. All right, now today's episode is about something every parent will relate to, the importance of letting your kids have imagination, right? And why giving them room to have a superhero like this guy here might just be one of the best gifts we can ever give them, okay? So let me start with my amazing son. Son, if you're listening, you are amazing. My son, Liam, who has never really been into toys, okay? I mean, we have bought him everything. He was the first child, so we bought him the cars and the action figures and the Legos and I mean, you name it, he got it. All the way from basketball goals to this and that and the other. I mean, all the stuff you think boys are supposed to like. But for him, he was always like, meh, right? He's the type that as soon as he could walk, he wanted to be outside. He started walking at, 10, 11 months. And ever since then, he was outside running, kicking, throwing, competing. He has always been wired for movement. If you've met him, he's a small dude. He's always been like at the lower percentile of his weight class because he just burns calories. If there's a ball, if there's a field, if there's a reason to be outside, he is there. Now, don't get me wrong, right? He truly had a short window where toy cars really held his attention. You know, that magical 6-month stretch where Santa brought him this Hot Wheels contraption and it was his whole life. But then that pizzazz went away. Now he does still collect toy cars. He's into this phase where he likes to only collect toy cars that are collector cars that cost more money, but so long as his dad has owned the car, or it's like represents his daddy's collection of cars. So it's a whole thing. Another episode for another time. We do have a video game system in our home. I think it's called a Nintendo Twitch. Actually, I know it's called a Switch. I like to call it a Twitch. Anyway, that thing probably logs fewer hours than the average Netflix intro screen. Okay, this kid plays maybe twice a year if he remembers he has it. It's like a biannual gaming sabbatical when he does play. And that's who he is, right? My son, the little realist. He doesn't need imaginary heroes. Because to him, the real world is already one giant adventure. And I truly can appreciate that. He gets that from his Mimi and Papa, his grandparents, who are very outdoorsy. And he's a lot like them. They can hang out and have adult conversations, it's the whole thing. But then there's my daughter, okay? Or should I say, oh girl. Now, she turned 3 this past summer, and her imagination is exploding faster than my patience. Okay, especially when I have to step on a plastic doll shoe or one of those little baby bottles for these dolls, baby doll things or whatever, accessories, when I'm trying to walk my dog in the middle of the night through the house and I have to step on it and I already have plantar fasciitis, okay? Her latest thing, she brings every single toy blanket and accessory she owns from her room, from the playroom upstairs and her bedroom, and relocates it all to the living room floor. Like today, our maid was here, and now you wouldn't know that she had been here. It's like FEMA needs to declare our living room a disaster zone. Okay, I'm talking empty Amazon boxes, right? Baby dolls, stuffed animals, blankets everywhere, little forts, bottles, strollers, fake food, and yes, toy shopping carts. It's basically a tiny human version of a homeless encampment. And that's what we call it around our house. And every single piece has a purpose, you guys. Okay, if you move anything at all, if you dare pick up a sock that was strategically placed there, or the monkey, or the dinosaur, or move her baby's bed, which is also in the middle of our living room right now, if you move it 2 inches, you better brace yourself, all right? You're about to witness a meltdown so seismic it registers on the Richter scale, okay? Here's the thing. As chaotic as it looks, there's a method to her madness. And I just recently found that out. And when I actually sit down, right, after a long day on a Thursday or Monday night, getting ready for Monday Night Football, I have to watch football, okay, on mute in the living room so she can hear her baby doll's heartbeat through her toy stethoscope. And I get to witness her imagination unfold right in front of me. Now, she's not playing, or at least she's not just playing. She has built this world, okay? She lines up her little... I'm about to fall, sorry. She lines up all her dolls, right? She'll take attendance. She checks their heartbeats. She feeds them. She scolds them lovingly for not sharing with the other baby dolls. And even tells one of them, you need a nap because you're cranky, only in that 3-year-old cutesy voice, right? Now, she didn't learn this from a cartoon. She didn't learn it from her school. This isn't something that Miss Rachel or Bluey taught her, or something she picked up from whatever she talks to her little friends about. So where did she get it, right? I didn't teach her. Mommy didn't teach her that. The question actually sent me down a kind of like a rabbit hole, right? Which I often do when I'm researching and doing things for the show. So I went down this rabbit hole. I started asking ChatGPT, like reading articles on child development and digging into psychology research from places like Harvard Center on the Developing Child, the American Academy of Pediatrics. I think I'll include the links in the description because there's a myriad of, just a wealth of information on those sites. And what I found was truly fascinating, okay? And it takes a lot to fascinate me, just saying. But according to child psychologists, imagination isn't just, make-believe or playing pretend. It's how kids are truly processing their feelings, right? Or at least toddlers. When a child engages in pretend play, whether they're, and you don't have to pay me, you don't have to go see a child's therapist now because here it is, whether they're rescuing a stuffed animal or feeding a doll or pretending to be Spider-Man, what they're actually rehearsing is emotional intelligence, right? And we don't talk enough as a society or in schools about emotional intelligence. It's like a little mental gym for empathy, problem solving, and social understanding. And this is not, let's keep going. All right. In fact, so one of the studies that I read found that kids who engage in this kind of imaginative role play, they actually develop stronger language skills, right? Emotional regulation, which we've yet to see play out with my daughter, and even higher creativity later in life, right? And I know that both of my kids are into art, as I am as well. But basically, your kid having imaginary friends might mean they're low-key training to become maybe a CEO, a filmmaker, or based on this episode, a therapist. I don't know. The article from Harvard put it this way, right? Pretend play allows children to experiment with different social roles and emotional outcomes, eventually leading to giving them a safe place to process real-world experiences. So, when my daughter is checking her baby doll's heartbeat, she's not just copying, what she may have seen her mom do. She's interpreting care. And one of the things I'll tell you, like, she goes through our, God, what are they? Superhero, Captain America Band-Aids like no one's business. I mean, I was like, I think I got a little thing on my finger. And she comes running with her Band-Aid. She's reenacting the comfort she's seen us giving her when she's hurt or sick. Okay, she's turning love into a language she can truly understand and repeat. And I think that's so deep because these are things that human nature just kind of like surprises us with. It's such a beautiful thing to see. And here's where the superhero piece comes in, okay? So when kids imagine themselves as superheroes, maybe my son didn't, but I surely did, right? Or believe in one, it's not about fantasy, it's about agency, okay? A superhero represents the ultimate version of I can. That's it. That's simple, right? I can save the day. I can protect someone. I can make a difference. All right, a lot of I cans, but you get what I'm saying, right? Like, it's we're told that, and that's why, like, I worked with a lot of children who are fighting cancer. My wife did as well, and superheroes was a big theme. I'll share a whole episode about all the artwork that I've done over the years, and superheroes were kind of at the center of it, and princesses, right? Because when a child believes they can do something powerful, they're forming identity. The early building blocks of confidence, courage, and purpose. And I'll focus on that courage part, because those kids that were fighting cancer, they needed to believe that, and it was so beautiful to see that. Okay, psychologists even call this the superhero effect. It's when a child adopts the mindset of their favorite hero. It actually increases their persistence and focus. Okay. One study has found that kids who pretend to be Batman, specifically Batman, I just dropped him on the floor, while doing a boring task, right, lasted significantly longer before giving up than kids who didn't pretend. It's called the Batman effect, and it's no joke. It's a real study out of the University of Minnesota, if they're accredited. I don't know. I know they don't have a good football team. Go Dogs. So yeah, maybe, look, your kid is pretending to fly around in a cape, and that isn't or shouldn't be considered a distraction. It's training for resilience. Okay. Now, mind you, okay, I want to be very clear here. I'm not saying anything other than superheroes, princesses, and whatever. I am not saying let your kid dress up as a furry. That's definitely not what I'm saying, okay? Because that isn't okay. We're dinosaurs. Anyway, now here's the hard part for most parents, okay? Because I know it's messy. The playroom is destroyed. The living room is pretty much unusable and looks like an episode of Hoarders Toddler Edition. And I've mentioned Hoarders a couple of episodes, so maybe I just like the show. Low key. Anyway, but we're always one step away from stepping on a Lego and getting some kind of foot injury, right? We don't heal as adults as fast as these darn kids. But this chaos, it's beautiful, okay, if you look at it from that lens. Because in that mess, through that mess, they're learning, right? Your kids, your toddlers are learning how to be human, how to feel, how to imagine, how to create meaning, right, from what they've seen, and they interpret it. It's beautiful. And the more we let them dream, the more that they'll grow into adults who, don't stop dreaming. Okay? Also a big part of what's wrong with America. So, look, watching both my kids is like watching, because, one's 7 and one's 3, but it's watching like two sides of childhood, because they're also so very different. My son, who's the realist, he's grounded, he's athletic, he's logical. And then my beautiful, amazing daughter, right? She's the dreamer, she's creative, she's expressive, she's imaginative. And that we should rejoice in the blessing of these kids, right? Because they are so different. They're individuals, even at this young age, and they just have different. But anyway, they like to fight as well. Anyway, no matter how old they are. And both are exactly who they're supposed to be, right? Our job isn't to force one to be more like the other. It is to protect what's sacred in both. And that was a hard pill for me to swallow, because my son, I still swear he's like the greatest kid. He is and was the greatest baby. And And then came Brynlee, and she was just like the polar opposite. And I was like, wait, what? We got so lucky with the first one. Why did we do this to ourselves? But if your child's imagination makes a mess, let it. If your kids still believe Spider-Man is real, don't ruin it. Because the day they stop pretending is the day the world starts to define their limits, right? And you don't want that. You want them to be able to set their boundaries and set their limits, so long as it's not about being a furry. And look, from a faith perspective, right, even God began creation with imagination, right? He spoke things into existence. He imagined light before light even existed, okay? He saw what could be before it was. Now that's grand. So when your child imagines they're actually tapping into a divine trait, they're reflecting their creative spirit. Okay, that's wired into all of us. Recently, I took a course on Hillsdale College, a 40-hour course about American fine arts. My son and I he watched a lot of the episodes with me. And we just have this newfound appreciation of art, right? Art isn't really childish. I mean, if you look at like art that my kids draw, maybe it is, but there's something sacred about art, which is just amazing. So anyway, I digress. Next time your living room turns into a toy-filled disaster zone, which it will, remember this: the mess is imagination in motion. It's confidence at work. It's empathy and creativity being built one plastic Lego at a time. And who knows, that baby doll checkup might just be the first step in her becoming a doctor or a nurse or a mom or simply someone who knows how to love and care well. Let them have their superheroes. Let them have their chaos. I'm probably talking to myself because I'm such a stickler for organization and cleanliness and whatever. And so it just like throws me for a loop when I see it. But after doing this research, it's helped me cope with the chaos. Okay, look, because that's where magic and meaning are born, not where frustration and parents like, oh, I want to watch my football game, right? Whatever. Look, thanks for hanging out. You know what? Before we end, I do want to share something. I had it wasn't an imaginary friend. It was a puppet, a hand puppet, right? That my parents got me from this teddy bear stand near the beach in near Blackpool, England. Okay, we went to visit some family, and on the way back, I got this little thing. It was like a bear. It was like blackish, and little beady eyes, and you stick your hand in it, and you're like, hello, And my sister got, I forget what she got. I think it was like a Donald Duck or something, and it was a big one. And I had this thing for years. So I probably got it when I was like maybe 4 or 5. Maybe 4 or 5, I think, or something like that. And then his name was Huggy Bear, and he was the cutest little thing. And I remember I had it for several years, and I wouldn't let it go, right? Like my mom would try to throw it in the trash, and I'd go back and get it. She'd try to put it in the donation pile. I got it back, and this is like, it was raggedy, it stunk, right? It was I don't know if I tried to feed it or whatever. Okay. Now, I was 10 when I moved from London to the United States. And I remember asking about it, and my mom was like, oh, yeah, it's in the luggage, okay? And we didn't bring it to the United States. Well, at least I didn't know that, because then we had some furniture. We didn't ship a lot of things from the UK. I know we had this like big mahogany dining table. I don't know why we brought that from England, but we shipped that. And my mom proceeded to tell me, oh, yeah, you know what? It's in there. And, I don't feel any kind of way. Maybe I do. That's why I'm bringing it up 35 years later. But anyway, that was my imaginary friend. I think a lot of you, not imaginary friend, my toy, my puppet. It was I remember I would sit it down and I would teach class to it. My sister would have her stuffed toys. I would have mine. And we would teach it, be school teachers. And it was so critical to have that as a child. Okay, to have that one toy that you have that you just is so precious to you. And as an adult, I still look back on that, and I look at my kids and my daughter playing with her. She's got like 20 baby dolls. I don't know which is her favorite. Maybe that's just a different circumstance, different time, first world problems. I don't know. But, it's, as a parent, be protective of that time, and it's so important. Anyway, I got really deep. Now I'm really missing my Huggy Bear. But happy whatever day it is that you're watching this. If you didn't catch the episode about farts, that was yesterday. 33% of the entire show was about farts, so definitely tune in. Check out other episodes. We do have the website coming. Stay tuned for that. And as always, like I say at the end of every show, I love y'all. It's about faith, family, and freedom. Bye.